In the heart of the urban jungle, a unique species of Homo sapiens thrives. Identified by their common adornments, the humble hoodie, their peculiar yet endearing rituals involving ping-pong tables, and an astonishing amount of free coffee. The startup Homo sapiens.
I'm no David Attenborough, but I know a thing or two about startups. For example, did you know they don't run on coffee alone?
I'm here to guide you on an extraordinary journey. Our new Twitch series, AWS Let's Build a Startup. Together we shall observe how an idea evolves, grows and matures into a real minimum viable product. All of this within the AWS ecosystem. Whether it's the thirst of knowledge guiding you or simply your passion for free caffeine. Join me on this fascinating journey.
Hey, hello founders, welcome back to another episode of AWS Let's Build a Startup. This is your weekly 1-hour show focusing on startups building with us at AWS. I'm your usual host, Giuseppe Battista. I'm a senior solutions architect and I work with pre-Series A startups here in the UK. I'm joined today by Noma. Hey Noma, how's it going?
Hi, Joseph. It's doing great. It's still pretty much very early in the morning in Austin, Texas, but I'm happy to be here.
All right. So I'm coming from London. You're coming from Austin, Texas. But folks, in the chat, please let us know where you're coming from. What are you building? We are live across LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. So please don't be shy. Come say hi. And today, I think we have a very special episode in store. We'll be exploring the path that takes from dataset to insight with two of my favorite startups, Superannotate and Fireworks.ai or Fireworks.ai. I think before we go into that, Noma, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, your role, what you're doing at AWS, what brings you here today?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Nomo Korafor, and I am a partner solutions architect, been working with generative AI startup partners, and I'm really excited to be to have my partners, Superannotate and Fireworks, be on the show to talk about how they're helping solve critical problems in data and inferencing for AWS customers.
That's fantastic. So I wanted to have this show about like how to basically build a model from scratch, or maybe like analyzing like what it takes to create your very own model. So like I'm super happy that you're here to share your insider perspective on AWS and like with our friends from Superannotate and from Fireworks. So before we actually go into that, let me just give you a few announcements as we usually do, and then I swear we'll be talking to our first guest, Superannotate. Just a few weeks ago, we had Lovable and Jeff Barr on this show, and in less than 40 minutes, we've managed to build our own MVP. And we actually managed to make $10 on the streams in less than 40 minutes. That was mind-blowing. So we'll be sharing some of the links to this past episode in a few seconds. And last week instead we had Monsieur Julien Simon from LC. He's a chief evangelist there, but he's ex-Hugging Face, ex-AWS. We managed to chat about small language models and the kind of role that they have, especially, for example, in agentic AI, which is really interesting. And again, we'll be sharing some of the links in a few seconds. But next week, please book into your calendar, because we'll be talking about how to get your thought packaged and built as a 3D model with 3D printing and the power of generative AI. But I guess that's enough in terms of introduction. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Leo. Hey, Leo, how's it going? And thank you so much for coming at Let's Build a Startup.
Hello, and thanks for having me. I'm doing great.
Yeah, so you're coming from Superannotate, right? And you have a very specific mission, which is making sure that we are able to build data sets that folks can actually build supermodels on.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the key blockers and kind of key reasons to why companies aren't able to effectively bring AI into their workflows and into production is, it's the data sets, it's the evaluation, and a lot of that kind of ties back to also being able to bring humans into the loop. I like to say we bring human intelligence into artificial intelligence by kind of helping companies set up those evaluation and data workflows that makes it possible to bring models, their own models, whether that be fine-tuned small in-house models or frontier models from large enterprises and anything in between.
Sounds great. And Noma, you have worked really closely with Superannotate. Can you give us your insider perspective?
Yeah, Superannotate is they have a fantastic product for annotating, multimodal data sets. So, and also I think one of the things that sets their platform apart is how you can easily like customize into and integrate into their platform. So whether you have your data on S3 or you have like in data lake, you can always make that integration happen, and also extend when it comes to training or fine-tuning your models, or you want to inference, you can also integrate into their SDK to make that happen. So yeah, like that's basically like what they are doing for our customers right now.
Sounds great. And I guess, look, I'm gonna put myself into the shoes of somebody who doesn't know too much about Superannotate, or in general, maybe my first question would be, so this is 2025, like, and there are a lot of like really good models out there. So why, why should a company, or like why should anyone actually build their own AI systems from scratch? So why do we need to start with data, I would say?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. And that's something that, I mean, before you go on and starting building a model, you definitely have to be clear on like, why am I doing this? Why am I not just using something that exists out there already? And it's really about like what we see, it's usually about two different things. It's either about, getting models that really perform on your specific use case. And it's also about getting differentiation. If you look at most of the like foundation models that are being built out there today, especially the leading ones, the big ones, are often optimized for different types of benchmarks that are out there. It can be, the humanities last test or this advanced mathematics exams, and this makes them really good at these skills, but it doesn't always translate into what's important for a business. And also using kind of standard AI as well, like ChatGPT and other models internally, is great for you to be able to increase productivity. And if you're early on, it can be a differentiator if you start adopting that before your other competitors do. But after a while, that's not necessarily staying ahead. It's just keeping up with the competition using different AI tools. Like if you look a bit about what makes you successful as a company or as an entrepreneur, it's not the things you do exactly the same as other ones do. It's more the things like what sets you apart as a company, all the knowledge, all the skills you have that makes you truly unique, that gives you a competitive advantage. And you sort of have to think about that when you build AI as well. Like how can I take AI from just being something that lets me keep up to be a true strategic differentiator? And a lot of that is being able to adapt it to your own domain. We're seeing that a lot of leading companies beyond, of course, that. I mean, beyond OpenAI and the big frontier models builders, a lot of leading companies within AI are the ones that adapt AI to their specific domain, be that video understanding or driving or internal processes.
And it sounds to me that like, the ability of being able to manipulate these data sets, like curate them and I would say build easily processes around that, but also like allowing humans to interact, I would say almost seamlessly for what's possible is like at the center of your mission, right?
Yeah, that's correct. So when it comes to data and when it comes to adapting models, like it's not only about building a new model from scratch or fine-tuning a model. It's also about all the different types of data that goes into either your context engineering or retrieval systems, and more also focus on evaluation of your models as well. And all of those are places where humans do come into the loop. And either if you're building a model for your kind of a unique internal use case, you might be in a situation that the only people that actually understands what is good performance are not necessarily ones sitting in your ML engineering team, but it's the people out in the business that does this day to day. And then it becomes critical to have setups where they can both be involved in kind of shaping those data sets, ensure your models get trained on the right things, but also be involved in building out your evaluation data sets, be there in like RLHF, different types of evals. So you can make sure you have a product that and a model that really performs before you push it out into production. And that's where we're really focused on helping companies.
Okay.
I do have a question around the type of customers you work with and where use cases where you feel like, oh, data is really important. Are there like can you shed more light into like what kind of use cases, what kind of customers you're working with right now?
Absolutely. So we work with a large range of customers, scaling from kind of AI native startups that are building products. It's 12 labs, Taranis, there are a couple of companies there, all the way up to frontier model builders. So we've been working with about half, or slightly more than half of all the Mag 7s in their frontier model building as well. And use cases, a lot of it range from either building kind of chatbots that are adapted to your specific domain. And with Taranis that we've been working on, they are building this model that, based on kind of agronomical data, that they fly drones over fields and gather information. They're building a chatbot that can answer questions from a farmer about the field, and that requires a lot of specialty knowledge about agronomics. So we help them set up kind of a user interface in our platform, essentially, where their agronomist can easily come in. They can see all the context that's going into that model, the responses, both rate on a rubric they built out, as well as kind of rewriting responses if necessary. And they're kind of going from their previous solution with spreadsheets into our platform. They managed to scale that throughput about 5 times and get their product to market in time for the season, where they would otherwise have had to wait another year until being able to launch it for that farming season. But it's also a lot of agentic AI systems we work with. Both when it comes to real frontier model developers, it's more and more about tool use and about training models and really advanced kind of computer science and programming questions, as well as with Flow Health, a client that we've been working with a lot. It's, I think, based in Britain, so close to Giuseppe as well, a women's healthcare app. They were recently launching a kind of chat assistant in the app that can answer medical questions. So a high stakes use case called Ask Flow. And by kind of helping them out to bring doctors and obstetricians and gynecologists into the loop on the evaluation, and we help them bring that chatbot from about 70% performance, so far below what you want, to be able to put something that will give you medical advice out into, you don't want it to be wrong 1/3 of the times, up until well above 90%, by both being able to provide feedback but also about being able to build up trust that this is something that doctors have been looking on before. So they were able to bring that out to production. Of course, work on keeping improving it continues.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, we have shared, I think, on LinkedIn and YouTube and Twitch, like a link to the Flow case study, so you can take it home and have a look at it, and like maybe have a look at the type of metrics or like the type of evaluations that that Superannotate helped in having a good impact on. So absolutely have a look at that. And I guess that just a question I actually had. You mentioned different type of systems, like agentic systems. You mentioned chatbots as well. But I guess you folks at Superannotate have seen your large share like production system, and I wanted to understand if you have an overview of what are actually the challenges in deploying these AI systems to production, because we've seen a lot of articles coming about in the last few months, and there are some companies that are still struggling to get this up and running.
Yeah, I think it was like MIT just last week dropped this report saying about 95% of all Gen AI projects never make it to production. That's an enormous amount. You think about the amount of investments that go into that as well. And there's a couple of the key reasons that we see. For one, they're trying to build systems that don't really adapt to their workflows at all. That's kind of touching upon what we discussed in the beginning of why it's interesting to build your own AI systems in some cases. But also often that the quality don't reach a level where it's performing well enough, as we saw with the Flow use case. But also to a large extent that even if your quality might be really high in testing, you have company leadership that doesn't really trust that output, because might only be tested with LLM judges and other setups, and they don't want to take the risk of launching a system they're not 100% sure will perform well out into production settings. There's a lot of work companies about either spinning up, trying to build and spin up completely automated evaluations or working with human in the loop, but not being able to do that at a high scale. So those are probably one of the key challenges right now. It's like getting the evaluation setups right in order to be able to build something of high quality and be able to bring it out.
I get you. And Numa, I think again, like you're on the forefront of startups and partners. So like maybe you can also share with us your wisdom and the type of AI system that you're seeing going to production, or maybe some of the reason why these are actually failing.
Yeah. So I would say with working with startups, a lot of the partners that I work with, most of the use case are around chatbots, like I think those are the kind of fail-safe type of workloads. I've started to see more and more agentic systems also come into play where especially in the dev space, using like vibe coding tools or like assisting the developer like with all the documentation or completing of coding sections. Those are the kind of use cases we are seeing. We're also seeing like where in healthcare systems with doing the whole like summary for clients or for their customers and all those the summarization, sending notes for patients, aftercare, all those kind of use cases. We are seeing that as well. In terms of vision models, like I know we talk about a lot of large language models, but I want to delve into like vision models as well, because I work with one partner that has vision models. We are seeing more and more in terms of agentic document extraction, intelligent document extraction that goes beyond OCR. So I'll stop here because I'm gonna like go into more and more use cases. Yeah,
That's all good. Now, thank you so much for sharing. And we've been on the stream for almost 20 minutes, I guess. Leo, I think it's time to bring up your screen. Can you show us a little bit more like how Superannotate works and how we can make use of it? If you're ready to go, I can add your screen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go.
I think one of the things Noma mentions there is the use cases all look really different, right? It's not just that you have different targets for what your chatbot should respond to, but you have different setups. You might have images, you might have code, you might have different agentic toolings, and that's one of those key challenges with human in the loop. It's being able to have an interface that actually works for your task. The reviewer can see everything that they need to be able to see to make judgments. And one of the key parts of our platform that do set it apart is the ability to build and either choose from a couple of different templates, but really build your own use case completely from scratch with a drag and drop interface. We'll get to it really shortly here, just showing some different ones. But essentially, what do you get started with? You can build out your own user interface for annotation and for evaluation. So bring in this case, quite a simple use chatbot example from text to code, where you put in a markdown component, code components, different types of buttons, grids for evaluation, and so on, that you can build out here to create an annotation environment that is really adapted to what you need to be able to see. And this, we've helped companies kind of going over from a spreadsheet that could only show partial context over to really a purpose-built environment in here to be able to use the speed of their evaluation up to about 5x for one company, Taranis. We've also been working with a really large scale, a Fortune 50 AI leader who centralized all of their annotation work onto our platform. I think they were doing about 60,000 hours of annotation work per month. And just within the first month, by being able to both really build out customized user interfaces, be able to, as we see here right now, connect into AI models as well as building workflows, they were able to, within the first month, kind of scale all of that throughput by around 184%. So a lot of it when it comes to using humans is about being able to use them as effectively as possible, so you can bring your products to market as quickly as possible as well. So if we quickly jump through here, you can easily connect to models in the user interfaces and then set up things like this where you can compare, you can add in pieces of code where you can interact with your backend as well. So you can create a fully dynamic review interface or evaluation interface where you connect it right into your models, right into any different type of context you already have, and you can kind of real time pull that up for the annotator or reviewer, so they can interact with the model live and see everything that they need to be able to see. Beyond that, large-scale project management, as well as the ability to build out different types of workflows that are event-driven. So say that we connect to an item's annotation status is updated, we can set up a workflow that automatically triggers like an AI check or reviews to determine if you want to turn it on to a human reviewer or pass it directly to your data set, or connect into platforms like SageMaker and Amazon to be able to stream data directly over into your training data set or review data set to be able to continue to iterate as well.
Wow, looks great. And I have a few questions coming from the audience. There was one from Vivek. I'm gonna just bring it up, but this is mainly related to Flow, and he was asking, do you know if there will be a human in the loop LLM evaluation workflow in the future? Are you at liberty to say anything about that?
Absolutely. I think we have reference architectures built out for that already. So from our platform, you can easily connect to models that are deployed in Fireworks or really anywhere else, and set up an easy human-in-the-loop review interface where your annotator or you yourself or your wider team, or we can help you provide large-scale expert workforces as well. It can easily do the human-in-the-loop review, both through Orchestrator in a pipeline builder workflow here, as well as in what we call Agent Hub that we recently released that allows you to connect directly to foundational models through the platform. So there you can connect right to Fireworks, to any model you might have in your Fireworks account, and use that interactively, both through review, but also you can use it to kind of speed up your annotation workflow as well by using kind of LLM judges based on models in Fireworks as first pass or review steps as well.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for that. And then the other question I had is actually coming from Andrew Lucas on LinkedIn. Hey, Andrew, thank you so much for being around. And can you tell us a little bit more about, what the cost model is? How much am I going to pay if I want to use your services? Thank you for that question.
Absolutely. So our platform, really, you can look at it in two things. We provide two things as a company. We both provide our software platform, that is what we're seeing now, built around making human involvement in annotation and evaluation work as efficient as possible. And that's a pretty standard SaaS model of annual contracts based on per user per year, as well as kind of the amount of data items or model traces, you could say, that you review in the platform. And then in addition to that, we also have annotation services where we work with both kind of large enterprises and frontier model builders to provide them with really high skilled workforces and consulting services around annotation. And that's more priced on a consumption basis instead. But the platform is very standard type of SaaS model.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a question around data. I know that one of the questions that are top of mind for customers is like, where is my data? Is there data privacy, confidentiality? I wanted to shed more light on how, if an AWS customer does not want their data to leave, AWS, how can you make that happen on your platform?
Yeah, that's a great question. We will work with lots of companies in sensitive domains, from medical to all sorts of different ones in financial, where data security is paramount. So we work with a model we call data on-prem. Using integrations in our platform, you can connect directly to your AWS account. Your data remains in rest in your account. It's only kind of displayed to the annotator through the browser. So it never leaves your environment.
Cool. That's super cool. That's yet another reason to actually connect and start talking about that. And there's a comment from Vivek. I just hide myself. Skim through the solution, love the Agent Hub solution, and he has built something similar. So maybe you folks should be talking about it.
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, Agent Hub, I think Agent Hub has lots of potential. It's like, we talk a lot about human in the loop in our platform, right? But that's not to say that using agents and LLMs for evaluation is worthless, but that the way you have to do it is kind of use humans and machine learning and AI models in conjunction to be able to both get that really high quality of your evaluation, true understanding of, is this model performing the way I want or not, with the human aspect, but be able to streamline that and make sure that you don't have expensive experts or your own engineers and spending time evaluating models for simpler tasks that could have been done by AI models as well. So with Agent Hub, we're really bringing AI models in natively throughout the entire platform, from being able to act as kind of the pre-annotation steps to be able to more intelligently route items around, and really anything else that you can use an AI model for as well, to supercharge the way human experts can evaluate and produce data sets, and to help anyone bring their own agentic AI and AI models to production much faster.
Wow. And so I really wanted to, thank you for all your wisdom today. And I know you folks, you have a Calendly link or something like that where you can actually bring book a meeting. So we'll be sharing this link soon on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn. But without further ado, I guess I can, I think we got to the point where we can also start thinking about once we have trained our model, like we have gotten to like a reasonable point where like we are confident in starting bringing this stuff to production. I guess that I wanted to bring my friends from Fireworks on, because I think they have a very interesting insight on what it takes to actually take the models on. I'll be bringing, hey Brenna and hey Joe, make sure you're presentable, because in a few seconds I'm going to actually bring you on. And Leo, thank you so much for sticking around today. And folks, if you do have any questions for Leo, I'm going to share links on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch in a few seconds. But so like any last remarks that you want to share with our audience?
No, absolutely. If you're looking to bring an AI solution to production, or if you're currently struggling, like having it stuck in POC, not getting a performance to the level that you need, like do reach out, do book a meeting with us, and we're happy to see how we can help make that happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Leo.
Thank you.
I'll see you. Well, I'm hoping that I'll see you again on the show soon. Maybe towards, I don't know, November, maybe.
Yeah, it's gonna happen soon.
Looking forward to it.
Sounds great, folks. So just give me 1 sec. I will rearrange the studio and I will bring on our friends from Fireworks. All right, so we are back here with Joe and Brenna. Hey, how's it going? And I'm so sorry for like kicking you out of bed so early in your San Francisco morning.
Hey, no worries, Giuseppe. Thanks so much for having us. Amazing session. Hard to follow up, by the way. Thanks, Leo.
Yeah, Leo is a fantastic speaker, and I'm absolutely looking forward to having back to maybe focus on Agent Hub, who knows? And Numa, thank you so much for bringing him on the show. So we have gone through, I would say, the hurdles of creating a data set, annotating it, making sure that we have a good understanding of it, making sure that we can provide easy access to those data sets to humans to do their evaluation. Now, let's pretend that we have managed to build our own very model, not from scratch. And what are the next steps? And I guess I wanted to have you folks from Fireworks on because you're experts and actually creating environments where these models can actually flourish and bless us with all of their wisdom.
Sounds great. Happy to be here.
So I would say, how about we start maybe talking about, why should companies like own their own AI systems? Again, I think this is the same kind of question I asked to Superannotate, but I really wanted to have your insights here.
Yeah, thanks, Giuseppe. Well, first off, I mean, that's $1 million question. I think really there's a fundamental disconnect between the way foundation models are built and the way applications are used in the real world. So really, foundation models are trained in research labs, whether they're open source or proprietary, on carefully curated data sets, and typically with the objectives of choosing to, optimize for certain benchmarks. And that training data is designed for research goals, not really the day-to-day, product use. So then on the other hand, you have application developers who are really focused on something very different, which is, creating products that keep users engaged. So they're constantly running experiments, tweaking features, generating product data that really reflects that real world user behavior. So when companies simply rely on the off-the-shelf foundation models, they inherit that misalignment. And that's where, inefficiencies start to show up. Models are slower, they're more expensive, they're less accurate than they need to be. And really the companies that are breaking through this barrier are the ones that are taking ownership. They're, aligning their own product data with the models they use. And that's how they're getting the really, fast, cheaper, and better tuned workflows for their specific use cases. And it's really what allows them to move from finding, product market fit to building a scalable, sustainable business. So by the way, most companies are not doing this yet. They're still treating models like generic utilities. But we really believe that the future belongs to those who close that gap and truly own their AI. And really, that's where Fireworks is focused, helping developers make that shift.
Yeah, Brenna, there are two important key terms you mentioned, performance and cost, which is like top of mind for a lot of customers in terms of like whether they are fine-tuning models or they are trying to use all these large language models to deploy integrate into their generative AI workload. But how in practice can they do this? I think that's the next question. How can they make this happen for their companies?
Yeah, I mean, those two indicators are so important. We're talking to startups today. I mean, that's everything. So really owning your AI, doesn't necessarily mean training a massive foundation model from scratch. As we all know, that's, prohibitively expensive for most organizations. And, what does it mean is really taking control over the parts of the stack that, directly impact your product's performance. So really in practice, that usually involves fine-tuning or adapting foundation models on your own product data so it really reflects your users' needs and behaviors. Folks can optimize inference for your specific workload. That could mean, custom batching strategies, quantization, or even distillation to reduce cost and latency. By the way, Fireworks, we handle these techniques under the hood, so applications run faster and cheaper without, the headache. I would say, and really this could mean integrating feedback loops so the model continuously improves as more real world data, user data flows in, and then lastly, deploying and scaling efficiently with Fireworks. Developers can serve customized models with production grade latency, reliability, monitoring, really without having to manage that complex GPU infrastructure themselves. So, I mean, just for example, Fireworks powers Cursor, which I'm sure a lot on the chat probably are familiar at this point with Cursor and probably a user. They're one of the fastest growing coding copilot companies. They built one of the most advanced coding agents, and it's really, they've redefined what software development means by co-designing user experience and model capability. So, Cursor has not only delivered, a blazing fast tab, code generation, but it's also been able to scale quickly to a huge developer audience, all while being focused on product without the prohibitive cost or engineering burden of, building all that infrastructure in-house.
Thank you for that, Brenna. Folks online, I think one of the key messages here is that Fireworks has done the heavy lifting of optimizing. Under the hood, you don't have to do that yourself. So I would like you to show us how developers who are listening, companies can easily start, experimenting with your platform.
Yeah, I'm happy to jump in here and kind of show what the platform looks like from a developer perspective. Let me just get my screen ready here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And in the meantime, folks on the chat, are you using Fireworks? Have you used Superannotate as well? Let us know. Oh, I see something popping up here.
Yeah, so just kind of to echo what Brenna was saying, so I'm a developer myself, and I really like the Fireworks platform in the sense that you can go end to end, in the sense that we offer a vast amount of different models, different ways to fine tune them. So even if you're first experimenting, you can start with Fireworks, but as you scale your workloads, you can kind of continue with Fireworks through those different optimizations. But what I want to show briefly here is what you see on my screen is kind of once you log into the Fireworks platform, we have this UI. And here you can see all of the different capabilities of the platform in a visual way. So an important starting point is kind of this model library. You can see we have several hundreds of open source generative AI models. And so these are grouped by large language models, image generation models, audio models, vision models. We're very quick to release new models. So like if a new open source, really high performing model comes out, it'll be available on Fireworks relatively quickly, relatively consistently. So you can see here a lot of quite large language models like Kimi, DeepSeek, Qwen. We distinguish between serverless models and on-demand models. So what that means is serverless, if you want to just kind of, and I'll show an example of this after, if you want to just quickly connect to our API, send a request, and get a response from your favorite LLM or your favorite vision language model, you can quite easily do that. And then if you want your own deployment that's just for you, you can also do that. In addition to this, you have a way to see your deployments here. We also have ways to interact with data sets. We have batch inference if you're kind of doing batch jobs that are not needing real-time responses. We also offer a fine-tuning service, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail afterwards. We also have these developer docs. It's really a developer-first platform. So what I just showed with the UI is a nice entry point, but a lot of these things you can interact with through the command line as well. And we have a lot of developer documents here. So maybe I'll dive into this quick demo. All right.
Let's do this.
Perfect. So this is just a Jupyter notebook. I wanted to kind of outline some of the different things that you can do with Fireworks. So like I said, we try to make it quite a complete platform. So pretty much anything that you could do with a large language model, with a generative AI model, you can do on Fireworks. And what we've seen is that over the recent months and year or so, the open source models are actually getting better and better. We see kind of this gap closing between open source and closed source. So a lot of times you can actually get started with one of these really good open source models, especially for function calling agent use cases, like GLM 4.5 is very good. The new Qwen models are very good. Kimi is very good. So we're seeing a lot of great releases in the open source community.
And Joe, sorry, before we go into the demo, can I just ask you to zoom in a little bit? Because
yeah.
I'm afraid that our friends on mobile might struggle just a little bit to see what's written there.
Good catch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So we have some initial setup. I want to just show an example of using a serverless model and just to show how easy it is to get a response. So we have a few different ways you can interact with the Fireworks API. If you're used to using the OpenAI SDK, you can use that. We also have our own Fireworks SDK, or you can send a post request. I just show the OpenAI SDK for simplicity. But here, for example, we're getting a response from this DeepSeek model, write a haiku about a dog who likes AI. So whirring machine hums, wagging tail at lines of code, barks at the future. That might be 575. It seems like it. Yeah, I won't count.
I'll do some counting as well. Can you invoke a tool to actually count this a little bit? That's an interesting.
All right, and just to show that you can do the same thing with the Fireworks SDK, so from Fireworks import LLM. The syntax is very slightly different, but also very easy to use. And you can see the response is slightly different just because LLMs are generally non-deterministic. Thinking Machine Labs wrote a recent paper/post about why that is and how to avoid it. Kind of a tangent, but interesting read. So another example, vision language models. So in addition to sending text, getting text, we also have a bunch of vision language models that you can use. So these are things where you want to get some information out of an image. So let me do this example. So I have this picture of a cat in a hat, and I'm asking this model to describe this image in one sentence. So let's see what it says. It says, a close-up of an orange and white cat wearing a black knitted hat with a red stripe looking directly at the camera. That's actually pretty good. I wouldn't have done a better description myself. I would have probably just said cat in a hat. But yeah, so this works pretty well. I put a dog and a cat just so that I don't bias things, Maybe members of the audience are dog people, cat people, so here we have something for everyone.
Well, let us know in the chat box, folks. We're just waiting for that. And even if you have pictures, that's even better, I guess.
And another thing you can do is embeddings. So what an embedding is, a lot of people have probably heard of word2vec. Basically, you have a word and you want to find some numerical representation of the word that represents its meaning. So like, a river might be similar to an ocean because they're both bodies of water. So it's kind of ways to like find meanings of words. So I mean, this is not going to mean anything to you. This is just a bunch of numbers, but I'm just showing how to use the API. So we offer different embedding models, and you would basically just input a piece of text and you would get an embedding out. And where this becomes interesting is you can use these embeddings as features to train other models, or you can do some kind of clustering. So just to show this visually, I'm using this embedding service for a bunch of different individual inputs. So these are just artificial examples, right? But I have some examples of movies/superheroes, some examples of cooking pasta, some examples of outdoor hiking. Get embeddings of all of these. I would expect that the ones that are similar in meaning would be close together. So I've kind of created these clusters. I would expect them to cluster if I visualize it. And you can see that indeed, if you visualize this stuff in 3D, you do see these distinct clusters. Like all of the kind of like cooking pasta ones end up over here. The movie ones end up over here, hiking end up over here. So this is good news for the embeddings. It means that it's working.
And these are all like models that you can find out of the box on Fireworks. That's so cool.
Exactly. So these are all the serverless models. You can I didn't have to really do any setup at all. It's quite affordable to use, and you can just start calling it and getting responses like this.
I can send somebody in the chat box writing, hey, but how much is actually costing? So if you have any links or anything like that to the pricing page, that'd be fantastic to actually maybe have a look.
Yeah, so we have fireworks.ai/pricing. You can see we have, well, let me zoom in a little bit. So we have pricing basically per model, and it depends on the size of the model. So you can see pricing per million tokens. If it's less than 4 billion parameters, it's 10 cents per million tokens. Million tokens is a lot of tokens. So you're going to be able to do some good experiments without breaking the bank. For some of these larger models, it gets a bit more expensive, but you can see pretty much here we have all the serverless pricing. This is all for serverless. So you don't really need to do any setup. You can just make an account, get an API key, and start calling these models, getting responses. We also have different pricing for on-demand. This is more if you have like a more consistent workload, production workload, and you want your own instance. You get, the benefit of this is that you're the only one using it, whereas serverless is a pool that everyone is kind of calling into. But for, first-time users and experiments, serverless is really great.
Yeah, and sorry to interrupt. I have a question coming from Nick Thomas on YouTube. So did you, Falk, create any models from scratch? Or any plans for it?
In the past, we've experimented with that, kind of creating a custom function calling model. In the future, potentially. For now, our main focus is enabling the models from the open source community. So there's a lot of great foundation models coming from open source. And to the points that have been discussed previously, we also offer a fine-tuning service. So we offer 3 different types of fine-tuning, supervised fine-tuning, reinforcement fine-tuning, and direct preference optimization. And so that's kind of where the customization can come in. We let users customize these models on their own data sets. So I won't say for sure not in the future, maybe we'll make a model, but it's not our current focus.
Sounds great. And sorry for derailing your demo, but I know that the pricing and the potentially new models, it's always something really, really interesting. I'll shut up now.
No, great question.
Yeah, I do have a question. So
Sure.
I know that there are lots of popular open source models that are available right now. How quickly do you bring on, let's say there's a new popular, open source model that pops up. How quickly do you get that into like being available on your platform?
So for the really, really big state-of-the-art ones, we try to do it same day or day after. But for the most popular ones, the most important ones, we really try to do it same day. You can see a lot of, like, for example, GPT OSS was pretty much same day. A lot of these like large quencoder model, these kinds of things. We of course can't release all models right away, but for the ones that are going to really be state of the art and set new benchmarks, we try to get those right away. And then, for a lot of the big models, the really high performing models, those are the ones we make available on serverless. We have a much larger collection that are not available on serverless, but that people can create on-demand deployments for. So basically, we have this bank of many, many, many models, that you can create an on-demand deployment for, even if you don't see it on serverless yet.
And
Yeah.
on that note, I don't know if this is pertinent, but Ola Newell from Twitch. So can customers deploy their solution in their own VPC in this case?
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Brenna.
No, I was going to say that's a really great question. So we have 2 different deployment models. One, we have our fully managed API, which allows customers, like Joe was mentioning, to access thousands of state-of-the-art open source models via our API, and typically that means Fireworks is provisioning the dedicated hardware, and then we'll help your team reach the performance goals with our applied AI team and support those production workloads. But we also offer end customer VPC deployments, which basically means we deploy as a software layer in your VPC on AWS GPU hardware on either EKS or SageMaker. And then also for deploying on SageMaker, customers can, they can choose to fine tune on SageMaker and then save the fine tune models in S3, deploy Fireworks as a container on SageMaker, and then expose that model via SageMaker endpoint, and really just to take advantage of the Fireworks, ultra optimized inference engine. But great question.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ola. And again, sorry, Joe, for derailing still your...
No, all good questions. All right, so let me show some other cool things that you can do. We also offer function calling. A lot of people have probably heard of this, but this is, and you've probably heard of MCP servers as well, but function calling is a way to get your LLM to call external functions. An example that I have here, this is sort of a toy example, but I have 2 functions, one called getWeather, and depending on what location I specify, it'll pull the information of the weather for that location. I also have a count letter occurrences function. So I won't go through all this syntax right now, but this is similar to how you would do it in OpenAI. You defined your tools, your functions, and then what you can do is now, if I were ask the model, for example, what is the weather like in Tokyo? Let me take a step back. The reason we're doing this is LLMs, when they are pre-trained, they're given a lot of general knowledge just from the internet, etc. But they might not have access to specific real-time information or specific data sets. And here, this is a fake weather data set, but you could imagine connecting it to an actual weather API. Your LLM that was pre-trained until June is not going to know what the weather is in July. So this type of function calling is allowing models to have access to functionality and data that they wouldn't have access to otherwise. But so this is a bunch of syntax. I won't go through all the syntax, but basically, if we ask it what is the weather in Tokyo, and let me just show the pertinent part. Let me see. So the relevant part is that we're giving this set of tools when we're calling the LLM. And so it can choose whether or not to use the tools that we gave it. And here you can see that the LLM wants to call get weather, and it wants to call it with location Tokyo. And in this example, it was able to retrieve the fact that the temperature was 20 Celsius. Let me just grab water.
Talking about weather.
Exactly. Another example, quick example here. This is probably not relevant anymore, but you've probably seen the large language models didn't know how many R's were in strawberry. It would think there were 2 R's in strawberry, but there's actually 3 R. I had to think about it, but there's 3 R's in strawberry. But so an LLM could probably do this now if you just asked it. But here we just give an example of we have this function that we defined above that gives you the count of the number of letters in a specific word. So if I ask it how many times does P appear in apple, instead of the LLM just spitting out a response, it's going to be able to call a function. It's going to be able to extract the information needed and then call a function with that. So let me just show this briefly. So it wants to call count letter occurrences. It knows the word apple and the letter is P, and it's able to actually execute a function to get that the number is 2. For the sake of time, I want to just go through these quickly. JSON mode is a way, so you're familiar probably with LLM hallucinations. Sometimes they might not output data or text in a specific format that you want. With JSON mode and with grammar mode, it lets you give structured outputs. And what that means is that you can kind of enforce that the model will output things in a specific format. So bigger models, if you ask them to do something and you have a good prompt, probably 99% of the time they're going to do it properly. But there's a small percent of the time where they're going to do something random or they're going to misformat your output. And what these two functionalities allow you to do is they allow you to force the LLM to output things in a specific format. So here we use a pydantic schema to basically, we want to extract product info from a piece of text. So we have this piece of text introducing the Acme Breeze Pro, 3 colors, black, white, MSRP 139, etc. And we're asking a model, hey, I want to extract some information from this thing. You could just do that without JSON mode, but you wouldn't have as much guarantee as to what the format of the output would be. So if I execute this, it's able to basically extract things in this nice dictionary format. Grammar mode. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying this is beautiful, especially when you have to provide maybe in a prompt training or in a complex system, something that you need to, maybe you have a downstream system that is just a dumb computer or just a dumb program, not necessarily an LLM. So this is beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Sure. Yeah, it's pretty convenient to use. And then for grammar mode does something similar. You define a grammar, and then you're able to get outputs in a specific format. So here I just basically asked it to extract a price, and it was able to extract the price.
Oh, fantastic! So we are slowly getting to the end of today's stream, unfortunately. But again, the invitation is open for maybe diving a little bit deeper on Fireworks as well. I don't know if there's the kind of a last comment that you want to share before I actually need to close the stream.
Sure. I won't go through all of this, but I will just briefly show that we have this thing called FireCuddle. I encourage the audience to check it out. This is how you can manage deployments from the command line. So I won't execute these commands, but for example, you can use firecuttle create deployment. And this is what I was talking about before, where if you have models that are not on serverless, but you want to create your own deployment for them, you can do that in this way. Fireworks also allows you to upload custom models. So if I say Fireworks custom model, upload, this is a great resource. So even if you don't see something on Fireworks, if it has similar architecture or the same architecture, you should be able to use it. And then the last thing is I would encourage people to check out the fine-tuning service. Like I mentioned, we have different fine-tuning approaches offered, and this is really useful if you want to get great performance out of a smaller model. So.
All right, so folks, thank you so much. I'm gonna just bring Leo back for a quick second, just to say, hey, bye, folks, and thank you so much for staying with us. Oh, what happened to Brenna? Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Apologies, but yeah, thank you so much, folks, and I hope you enjoyed us taking you through the full journey of going from a data point all the way down to inference with Superannotate and Fireworks. Next week we will be streaming again 2 p.m. BST, 9 a.m. EST, and 6 a.m. PST. We're going to take you through another interesting journey, which is going from your imagination to a 3D printed model. So please stay tuned and let us know what kind of startup you're actually building. I've been your host, Giuseppe Battista. This has been AWS Let's Build a Startup, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, folks.
Bye.
Bye.